Welcome to the Wednesday, February 8th poetry meeting at the Uniting Church here in Canberra. So my name's Dave Jenkins and we've got John Sledge and Bill Tully here, and today I'll just be doing a bit of reading from a book of Against War. It's poetry against war, and it's got an afterword from Andrew Morton. But the first poem I'm going to read is by Siegfried Sassoon, who was quite a well-known soldier or serviceman in the Great War, and he wrote a lot of very powerful poetry that was anti-war in nature. This poem is called Suicide in the Trenches. I knew a simple soldier boy who grinned at life in empty joy, slept soundly through the lonesome dark and whistled early with the lark. In winter trenches, cowed and glum, with the crumps and lice and slack of rum, he put a bullet through his brain. No one spoke of him again. You smug-faced crowds with kindling eye, who cheer when soldier lads march by, sneak home and pray you'll never know the hell where youth and laughter go. And I've got another poem here by Edward Thomas. So I'll read that and maybe one more as well. So here's Edward Thomas, Rain. Rain, midnight rain, nothing but the wild rain, on this bleak hut and solitude and me, remembering again that I shall die, and neither hear the rain nor give it thanks, for washing me cleaner than I have been since I was born into this solitude. Blessed are the dead and that the rain rains upon, but here I pray that none whom once I loved is dying tonight, or lying still awake, solitary listening to the rain. Either in pain or thus in sympathy, helpless among the living and the dead, like a cold water among broken reeds, myriads of broken reeds, all still and stiff, like me who have no love, which this wild rain has not dissolved except the love of death. If I love it, be towards what is perfect, and cannot, the tempest tells me, disappoint. And for a last poem, I think I'll read Wilfred Owen's Futility. Futility. Move him into the sun, gently its touch awoke him once. At home whispering the fields half sown, always it woke him, even in France. Until this morning and the snow, if anything might rouse him now, the kind old sun will know. Think how it wakes the seeds, woke once the clays of a cold star, a limb so dare achieve decides. Full nerves still warm, too hard to stir. Was it for this clay grew tall? Or what made fatuous sunbeams toil to break earth's sleep at all? That's it for me. I'll introduce Bill Tully.
Thanks very much, David. David Jenkins is a poet. He's very sensitive and very aware, and the poets he quoted from, Thomas, Wilfred Owen, of course, were World War I poets, and more sensitive poetry came out of that horrible war, 1914, 1918, I think, than came out of World War II, which was interesting, much more mechanised war, 1939-45, and it's very moving. And certainly when Benjamin Britten put Wilfred Owen into an oratorio, it worked very well. The music of Britten and the words of Owen, very beautiful. Well, I've got three poems. One of them's a tribute to one of Canberra's beggars, I suppose. I haven't put that in the poem, I hope, but that's what he was. He lived from Christmas Day 1943 to Epiphany Day, the 6th of January this year. He was 68, and he was born in Africa. He was born in Africa, and he lived in most of his life, I think, in Canberra. Certainly I first knew him in the early 1970s, and he was subject, I think, of a poem. He was a beggar, always well dressed, very quiet, subdued man who didn't have any hang-ups about too many things, but he used to quietly ask for money, and I hope he got a bit. So here's the poem. John Martignac, Christmas 1943 to Epiphany, that's the 6th of January, when the three wise men came to the stable this year. 68, you died, not late, in your sister's holding hand. A Canberra Epiphany end, which began in Yuletide, Uganda. While people now loom larger in the city's widening streets, where avenues proliferate, there's less begging beats. Are you still suave suited? Have you lost those facial blushes? Passers-by often snubbed you or increased their speeding rushes. Dying unsought as a struggle fraught, in a struggle fraught, at a hospice of high story. But yet, I think with a sly wink, that death's your living glory. Good on you, John. I gave him $2 once. It was never returned, but John was like that. John accepted, and he survived in a most interesting way. He didn't muck about. He just kept going, and that's what all of us should do. And the best way we can. And poetry, of course, one way to see the world around us, and to read other people's views of the world around us. I think if we can do that, the world's a better place for us. And who knows, maybe for a few people who listen, and a few people who have poetic instincts of their own that lie dormant and aren't expressed. This one's called A Sunny Scrambled City Sonnet. The sonnet's in 14 lines. Hope I got that right. And it's just a cityscape of Canberra that I write about a lot lately. Young player of a plunging violin competes also with skaters' muted spin. Spiked elm leaves, bright green sunlit, light golden noon crowds give the lie to deserted city and its shops hard hit. Our buskers' notes, sweet, low and high, brisk walkers pass a massage shop, into which no noon clients drop, despite an open red ink light. Infants, children, adults, elders take some. Scammers, shoppers, some at ease, and some in flight. Our violinist gives Bach and Elgar a new tone. To ream a place now charms me and thee and mine. I leave slow from a Canberra show a touch, and only a touch, divine. So I don't give myself any divinity. The last one is on the same sort of theme, looking at the world around. It's called Coffee Break. Both of these were written in late January. I just read it in the sonnet. John Martignac I wrote in early February, by the way. I tend to write, scribble and just keep going and doing what I enjoy, which is writing and revising. Unlike John, who's coming later, I don't just write it and that's it. I tend to fiddle and fiddle and fiddle and fiddle and fiddle until I get the right word and the right gesture, the right sound, and that's the way I work. This one's called Coffee Break. Coffee hot is ordered. This cafe's at 1 room near stunted palms and 2 glass sliding left-right doors. Outside bright banners, red and black in wind, flat spin. Grit, monu, break, mental, for centres split 1 and 2, that's civic centres. Coffee soon, I ask, though an inward voice loud roars, but it's nicely heated with cake and new cream. Coffee break's the last one, very short one. It was done in late last month, late January here for the poetry spin that we have here. And it's at the Uniting Church, just giving people a reminder, in Northbourne Avenue, and it's just about every, one way or the other, every Wednesday, and it's either here at the church, in the church actually, as I'm looking at the altar as I speak, for the recording of it, as we're doing, thanks to John. And it's a bit before that we go round to the Uniting Church breakfast. Starts about 7 or 8 o'clock, and goes on till about 11 o'clock, and then we come over here. This one's called Coffee Break. Coffee hot is ordered, this cafe's a one brew. There's stunted palms and 2 glass slidings, left-right doors. Outside bright banners, red and black in wind flap spin. Writ, monumental, or centres split 1 and 2. Coffee soon, I ask, though an inward voice loud roars. But it's nicely heated with cake, a new cream win. That's the second time with that one, but never mind. Doesn't hurt to sort of go over them. So don't forget, 11 o'clock in Canberra, every Wednesday, 11 o'clock for about half an hour, or 3/4 of an hour, however much time we have. And now John is going to come, and he has written one instantly, instant poetry. And thank you, John.
Thanks,
Bill. Well, I just wrote this. I don't know what it's called. Let's go. It's February and meant to be summer. The weather so dark and cold. It's all changing. Seasons all messed up. Life rearranging. Take a sip from my cup. It's meant to be hot, sun-burning flesh, but it's not. It's so fresh. Summer turned on its head. Yeah, just like the living dead.
Good on you, John.
Yeah, well,
Very descriptive of what things are like.
just a bit of instant poetry about Canberra.
What's very
and the
important.
weather.
That's what the weather's like.
Yeah.
And that's where I think people appreciate poetry like that. But it's, to me, it's great. It's not boiling me like a potato. But if you're younger and you like to have a bit of water and liveliness around you, I guess it's a bit of a nuisance.
Yeah, sometimes.
Good on you. Well, that's our reading for today. We've got about half an hour, 20 minutes or so. You can put in the lead in there for them.
Got any more poems? And I'll
Oh,
read
I've
one.
always got more.
Got one.
Yeah, have a read. Just pick one. Read
Yeah, go ahead, John. You've only done one.
Oh, that's good. Here's some poetry.
Yeah,
I'll open it up on a page and read
yeah,
it.
true. Good idea.
That's it.
Well, that's what poetry's all about. There's lots of it about.
It says, a grilled octopus is equally excellent. Often these are cleaned and hung out in the sun to dry for a few hours. Sometimes they are boiled first to soften and then quickly grilled for flavour.
Wow.
Prepare your octopus as opposite. Cut into 8 individual tentacles and cut the head to open it out. Put the pieces in a wire grill rack and grill quickly over very hot coals, flipping them over when deep golden and charred here and there.
Wow.
Cut up into good slices, drizzle with olive oil, splash with red wine vinegar.
Amazing.
Crumble over some oregano and give a good grind of pepper. Serve with ouzo on ice.
Good on you, John.
Yep.
Yeah, that's excellent.
That's good indeed. Okay, I'll do one now,
The
John. Oh, you're thinking.
Capodi
Oh, you got one.
grilled
No,
octopus is what that was.
Okay, mate. Well, I'll do a quickie. And John's reminded me that poetry's often about passion. And Michael, who comes to our little group, pointed out when I showed him an older poem I did in November that that's, he says it's most unusual for you to show passion, anger, and associated sort of. I'll just go and get my glasses. In the bag, so to speak. I'll be able to read it. clearly, even though it's in big print. But Michael, in the number, who doesn't write poetry, he has typically been writing. I don't know, but he often speaks it. He speaks prose, but sometimes he talks poetry, as we all do. I think all you people listening, don't feel that you're not poets. You don't have to be brilliant to be a poet. You just write what you think. And this one's called Anonymous. There's a bit of a story to it, and I won't go into it too much, but one night I came home and I left the door open, and suddenly I heard the door slam, bang, like that. And I went to the door, and there's a little bit of paper there, calling me everything under the sun, or calling somebody who was the target of the bit of paper, everything under the sun. And I don't think it was me. I think they probably got the wrong door. But I felt very annoyed, and I wondered who it was. And I didn't think anybody in the block of flats could possibly have done that, but somebody did. And this poem I wrote, and Michael said it's the one really showing a little bit of anger rather than carefully controlled metres, which is my thing in a way, so hence the title, Anonymous. A rude script message and slammed door. Did I knock back that slack, loose bore? Good God, I feel a twist of guilt. What pool of gall could I have spilt? Friday's bins, a soldier straight. Most doors are locked, Discovery Street. The sender called and may again, like hail or sun or wind or rain. Maybe not me the scrawl was sent. Wrong door, I hope the sender meant. A sunny day and bus to town. I'm now much better, mind less blown. It's a good poem in that sense. It shows a little bit of anger, and that's not a bad sentiment to have when it's justified anger, I think. So that's one of my other poems. But don't forget, here at the United Church, every Wednesday at 11 o'clock or thereabouts, till midday, and it's heading towards midday now. Well, no, 20 minutes to go, but a couple of us got to go earlier. Come along and participate, and have your say, and get on the machinery, get on the YouTube, and people do watch it. I've had a few bits of feedback. And John, of course, does all that. Good on him for doing it. So thanks very much. And anybody else for anything? John, I'm sure you heard, mate.
Yeah, we know. This is from David's book, 101 Poems Against War. It's called The General's Property. A flower vase on the General's table, 5 roses in the vase. The General's tank has 5 mouths under the tank, a boy of 5, a rose. A boy and 5 stars adorn the General's shoulder. In his vase, 5 boys and a rose. Under his tank, 5 roses and 5 boys. The tank has countless mouths.
It's a funny one, isn't it? The boys, of course, are the soldiers, because a lot of the war.
Yeah.
The tanks, of course, are just a recent addition to the war, and it's World War One. Is it Andrew Motion, M-O-T-I-O-N, is the author, John, on the front cover? The bloke who edited the...
Andrew Motion.
Motion, yeah. He's, in fact, the British poet laureate, for those who know these things. And he's quite at the top of the poetry tree in England.
Well, I've got another one here. Suicide in the Trenches. I knew a simple soldier boy who grinned at life in empty joy, slept soundly through the lonesome dark, and whistled early with the lark. In winter trenches, cowed and gloved, with crumps and lice and lack of rum, he put a bullet through his brain. No one spoke of him again. You smug-faced crowds with kindling eye, who cheer when soldier lads march by, sneak home and pray you'll never know the hell where youth and laughter go.
Thank you. Wilfred Owen, I think, was it?
Siegfried
Siegfried
Sassoon.
Sassoon. Yeah, okay, right. Famous World War One poet. They really wrote their poetry in World War One. And it sticks still. That war is war. You got to go soon?
That's it.
Yeah, I'm gonna head off to,
Okay, peoples,
yeah, thanks, John.
Thank you,
rock
John.
on.
Rock on and come along to your United Church. Lovely folk. And we'll depart.
Yeah.
Full of poetry. Thanks, John.
And next week, John, we're going to meet at Garema Place near the Poets' Corner.